I'm going to try to not use the microphone. Can everyone hear me?
Loud, please.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me address this group this evening. I will start off by saying the questions have to be about the referendum, but there are many things that I can't say about the referendum. So actually, I would rather those other questions, and I do like beer, so let's get that one over with. But let me start off by talking about my role as superintendent and the vision that I have and that'll build up to the referendum. So I started back in August 1st, and it's been about 6 months. And I think ultimately we've set forth a vision in the school district to, in my opinion, change the trajectory for student achievement. That is clearly my #1 goal, and what I'm trying to do is change the trajectory of student achievement in this district. With that has to come a lot of different things in order for that to work. And when I say change the trajectory of student achievement, I mean this, that in our schools over the past couple of years, and including this past year, that in reading and math, that only 20% of African Americans in this school district pass the test. Yet 51% of white students pass. That's a huge gap. That's still not the problem. As they move into secondary, middle school, and high school, unfortunately, that number gets worse. The number goes down to only 16% of African Americans passing the test. It still doesn't get better for whites, it goes down to 42. Think about those numbers when you talk about 16,200 students in this district. That's a lot of students that are left behind in our school district. And that's what we're trying to work on. So we set out on a path and a vision for Florence 1 in 2021 to try to change the trajectory. That doesn't happen overnight, but that is our goal. And we have to do that in a different way. We have to build trust, and I think that is one of the reasons why I'm here, one of the reasons why that we have a referendum and why what we're doing is because I think the most important thing is to build trust in this school district. And that's why I think the board hired me, is to try to establish that in every community across this district. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think we started day one. And I'm hoping our #1 goal is to try to communicate better with everyone. That's our students, with our parents, grandparents, people who have been through the school district. It's about communication. And hopefully, you get more communication happening at your schools and your communities than you had before. And I think me attending a forum like this is another way of me trying to communicate a lot better. The next thing what we're trying to do is that we are trying to establish that whatever we do in our school district happens for everyone. For example, when we buy textbooks, everyone gets the same textbook. Regardless of what school you're in, we do it by grade now. And we've started that right from the beginning. This year we've purchased new math textbooks, grades 6 through 12, and regardless across the board, everyone got the same textbooks and resources. We started our Imagine Forward initiative, and that's to put a personal device or a computer in the hands of every student in this district. We didn't pick a school to pilot. We didn't choose 2 schools. We did it for every student in grades 2 through 6, regardless whether you were general education, special education, North Vista, Lucy T. Davis, whatever school you're at, we've begun this process of creating one school district. Not 20 different schools, but one school district, so all boats can rise. And that's what we're trying to do. And we've done that over and over again as we move forward. Our goal is to put the best teachers for our students who need them the most. Our goal is to make sure that all of our teachers have access to good pay. And that's another one of our goals that I personally stand up to try to accomplish. The legislature might beat me this year, I'm not sure, but I think that's one goal that we really need. But we've always tried in the past 6 months that I've been here to make sure everyone has the same resources. I cannot, and I say this again, I cannot change the past. And there is a past here that a lot of people want to continue to talk about, and they should, because I wasn't here and I don't necessarily know how I can possibly understand it. But I will listen and I will begin to understand. But I also want you to have the commitment to say we need to move forward. And the only way that we can do that is to do it together, is to move forward and to build trust. And every day when I come to work, and everything that I say this evening is about building trust in the school district for all of us. And so we've put forth this agenda that I think is very aggressive. It talks about student achievement. It talks about graduation rates. It talks about a lot of things. It talks about communicating more. It talks about security and safety in our buildings. And it talks about our staff and how we can address our staff with pay. And I think we did something pretty significant, and it was intentional. Is that, yes, we believe that teachers deserve better pay and better conditions, and we're working on those. But we also recognize that our lowest paid employees were also very low paid employees. And so this district set out to pay our custodians the largest increase in their salary from the beginning. We did that already. And I thought that was a very large message to send to everyone, is that everyone is important. Regardless of whether you open the door in the morning, or you're driving the school bus, or you're teaching that class, or you're the principal of the building. Everyone is just as important, and everyone deserves to be treated with respect. And I think that's the message that we're trying to, again, build trust in our district and send that message. And so with one of the things to move this forward is that district hasn't really addressed the facilities in the past. They had a pay-as-you-go program, 5 schools in 6 years. And they had a program that was pay-as-you-go. I would call it borrow-as-you-go, but that's something we have to address. And so simple math will tell you this. Let's just say each school cost $25 million. They didn't, but let's just say for math. 5 schools, $25 million, that's approximately $125 million. The district is eligible to raise money called 8% money based upon our assets without going to the public, approximately about $11 million every year. So if you do 6 years at $11 million, that's 66. So very quickly, the math would be 125 minus 66. That's a large gap. That's almost $60 million. That is the difference. And that is the problem that happened, is that $60 million year after year had to come from somewhere. And the district doesn't have the ability to borrow money. That means it had to be taken from somewhere else. So every year there wasn't maintenance to the other 19 buildings as we build a school, as we weren't able to buy textbooks and invest in our teachers. We weren't able to do those things. And $10 million is a significant amount of money every year. And without that type of budgeting and understanding, year after year, in almost a decade, and it's hard to talk about, but we have to talk about it. That's where we are today. That is the problem that I faced walking in. That is the problem I faced that I said that I would fix. And that's why I'm here. We have put forth a referendum to address these things, and I feel a way that is the only way we can do it in order to catch up. And that is to put forth a referendum to the people in the city of Florence, in the county, those in the Florence District 1, to say, we would like to spend $198 million to do these projects. And let me make it clear. When we ask you for $198 million, and those projects that are listed on that ballot, that's what we're going to do. We don't have any wiggle room to say, hey, now that we have the money, we'd like to do something else. That is what we are committed by law to do, what is on that ballot. And on that ballot are several things. The first, they're listed in order, in this particular order. They're listed on the new schools to be built first, and then in the high schools are listed alphabetical order. So everybody likes to look at everything a little bit different. I'm telling you, it's intentional about what's on the ballot. New schools first, and then the high schools, and the high schools are listed in alphabetical order. So the new schools to be built would be a combination of Timrod and Wallace Gregg coming together. They're both about 350 students for about a 750 student even more school joining them together. The next would be Savannah Grove Elementary School. And then our two middle schools, Southside Middle School and Williams Middle School. And so those are the 4 projects that are for new schools. In the high schools, what we're looking to do is really, which will trickle down to all of this, is to build additions to each of the high schools. And in the high schools, the additions are built upon how many mobiles they have and the space that they're needed. So obviously West Florence has the most mobiles. They have 36 of them. And so their addition is based upon those 36 classrooms plus 2. In addition to that, it would be an auxiliary gym. And then in addition to that would be athletic facilities, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes. As you move to South Florence, same thing. The number of classrooms is 14, or might be 16, I apologize for that, and a dance studio because there's a school for the arts to get out of the mobiles, also an auxiliary gym, and athletic facilities. And as we move to Wilson, it would be 10 classrooms, plus an auxiliary gym and athletic facilities. Really, this referendum is about trying to get out of the mobile business. That's the one thing I recognize. I could pull up to any school in this district, and the smallest school, and you think, what a beautiful school, until you walk around the back, and there's almost like a city of mobiles in every school. And those mobiles have been around for a long time. And that's what we're trying to do. If we build 2 middle schools, we're able to build them with 1,400 students able to go in them. What that'll do, enable us not only to have more space to create 4 middle schools that flow into our 3 high schools, but it'll get the 6th graders out of our elementary schools and get out of the mobile business in the elementary schools with just the 5th grade and having a true K-5, 6-8, 9-12 school district, which is pretty standard across this country. And so that'll allow us to get out of the mobile business throughout the district. In the high schools with the additions, building 2 middle schools to get the 6th graders out of the elementary schools, it'll allow us to keep a secure building in each of our schools now by getting out of the mobile business. And then quite frankly, if you've been to Williams Middle School, if you've been to West Florence, if you've been to Greenwood, those schools are in terrible, awful shape. I don't have to tell anybody in this room. This is about those buildings that need to be fixed, but the overall plan. And so if the referendum has that money, the district then has that 8% money that I talked about, which is approximately $11 million, to do other projects that they have not done, which is maintenance. We would have to build some other additions to, say, Carver, to McLaurin once we put the 5th grade in because they're K-4. But we're able to do that without touching the operational funds, which is really the money I want to make sure I can change the trajectory of student achievement in this district. We have all the tools. We have the teachers. We have the students. We have the community support. There is no reason our schools should be performing at the level they are. We just need the opportunity to be focused on the right things. I've talked a lot about, people ask me, what is your opinion or what do you see about coming in to Florence 1? And I use this analogy. I say everyone is focused on the mailbox. We want to make sure that's a really good mailbox. We want to make sure that mailbox has the same on the right side and it's the same number of bricks on the left side. We want to make sure it's shiny and that every part of that mailbox looks good. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the house is burning behind us. And there are kids in it. And that's my analogy. That's my metaphor of the Florence 1 schools. We are focused on the wrong thing. We're not focused on our kids and what they need to survive. We're focused on making sure that mailbox looks good. And that's just a small part of our world. And we're all focused there, but we don't turn. So we need to change the direction of this district and focus on the house. Because the house is what's really going to make us better in one community. And I think that's the analogy I consistently use about where our focus needs to change to be. And so that is the referendum. That is what is being brought forth. And it's part of an overall vision to add security, to add teacher pay, communication, and student achievement. That's the vision. If you haven't seen that vision, we have it written. It's something that I heard over and over wherever I went in this community, is that the district didn't have a vision, and I think we've put one forth. And I think we've put an aggressive vision put forth throughout this district, not only to be the best here in South Carolina, but to challenge those school districts across the nation to say that, we're a very diverse school district, but we can achieve. We have everything we can if we focus on the house. I will leave you with one other quick thing before I start the questions, is that some people have questioned the athletic facilities. And that's fine. We tend to question those types of things. But my response to this is very clear as someone coming in. And I love football. I'm a Clemson graduate. I love football. But I will tell you that we have girls in our schools. And we haven't given them the same opportunity as boys. So why would I, and I challenge those to say, why would I build a $15 million, even if someone's going to give it to me, a $15 million field or stadium for one sport and all boys? Can you imagine if I said I was going to build a gym just for boys? Think about that. What I'm asking for is that the girls in our school district have the same opportunity as boys, because we want to build athletic facilities for boys and girls track, boys and girls soccer, our ROTC, our marching band. Those are the facilities. I'm not looking to build Jerry Jones type of stadium. What I'm doing is trying to give kids opportunities, all kids, the opportunity for athletics. We've made huge investments in the arts. I'm sure you're aware this board put $3 million just this year into the arts. We spent $600,000 on new instruments. At Williams Middle School, they haven't had instruments in 30 years. And that's been done. I'm not much of a talker. These aren't really what I like to do. I'm a doer. I say we're going to get things done. And that's what I'm asking you to believe in, is the trust that we're going to get things done. And it's a new day in the Florence Lynn schools. And so that is a little bit about what's going on. I'm hoping you understand my passion and where we need to go and what this district needs to do to turn around. I think I will pause now so I don't keep most people's time. I guess someone's going to read me questions or somebody. Can I just ask, or do you have cards?